The movie opens with a young boy named Steve, who has a strong fascination with mines. However, because of his age, he's never allowed to enter. Years pass, and finally, as an adult, Steve fulfills his childhood dream by entering the mines. While digging, he uncovers an earth crystal and a second earth crystal. As soon as he places one into an orb, a portal opens. Steve steps through this portal into a world entirely unlike his own. Everything here is square-shaped, resembling a dream or fantasy realm. This world is called Overworld. The remarkable thing about Overworld is that whatever you imagine instantly manifests. For a creative individual like Steve, this world is paradise, and he decides to stay. He soon befriends a wolf dog and makes him his pet. Years later, he accidentally opens another portal and steps through it. This time, he finds himself in another dimension of Overworld called Netherland. This world is devoid of creativity and joy, resembling a hellish landscape. As soon as Steve arrives, the Queen of Netherland captures him, seizing his earth crystal and orb. She has long coveted these items to destroy Overworld, which had rejected her. Steve is terrified when he learns of her intentions. He realizes that he's the only one who can save Overworld. That night, he cleverly escapes, stealing the earth crystal and orb. Risking his life, he entrusts the crystal to his pet dog, instructing him to take it to their world, to Guinea Earth, and hide it in his room. At Steve's command, his dog flees through the Netherland portal to Overworld, then through the Overworld portal to Earth, hiding the orb under Steve's bed, as instructed. Years pass in the movie, and we are introduced to a man named Garrett. Garrett owns a video game store that's struggling financially. He's received an eviction notice, and is desperate for money to save his business. He decides to invest his remaining funds in buying a storage container, hoping to sell its contents for profit. He finds a container with an old, highly acclaimed game called Cosmos. He's optimistic that launching this game will revive his arcade. In his eagerness, he buys the container, but his luck fails him again. The box contains only old, useless items, not the game. However, amidst the junk, he discovers an orb and a crystal, which he picks up, unaware of their true purpose. He found these items because they belonged to Steve's house. Garrett's luck continues to be terrible. His car breaks down on the way home with the orb and crystal, and he gets out in frustration, shouting. The scene shifts to Henry, a bright boy with a vivid imagination. Much like Steve, he always sketches his creations in a drawing book before making them. Henry has recently moved into Garrett's neighborhood. In the morning, before school, he visits Garrett's gaming zone. He meets Garrett and likes his setup, but, pressed for time, heads to school. His art teacher signs a live drawing of a banana and an orange. Henry, in his creativity, adds a jetpack to the banana, earning him a scolding from the teacher. Live drawing doesn't allow for creativity, only accurate depiction, and he's mocked by the other children on his first day. Henry is furious and determined to make his drawing a reality. He diligently builds a jetpack and attaches it to a skeleton. He brings it to the school ground for testing, with everyone watching. However, a child cuts a wire on the jetpack, causing it to fly erratically and crash into a nearby chips factory, leading to more humiliation. The principal even calls for a parent. Knowing his sister would be angry, he immediately calls Garrett, with whom he's become friends. Henry offers Garrett $2,000 to pretend to be his uncle. Garrett, hearing the amount, immediately agrees. Garrett gets Henry out of trouble at school and brings him to his shop. At the shop, Henry sees that his jetpack is fine, but he's puzzled as to why it went out of control. Disappointed with his project, he throws his entire diary into the dustbin. As he looks around, his eyes fall on the orb and crystal. Henry picks up the earth crystal and places it inside the orb. Suddenly, the power of the orb and crystal pulls him, transporting him to the same mines from which Steve's portal to Overworld had opened. Garrett, too, had followed him there. Meanwhile, Henry's sister is worried about him since he's neither at home nor the gaming zone. She calls her real estate agent, who helps her track Henry's phone, leading them to the same mines. All four of them stand there, surprised, when suddenly the portal begins to pull them in with immense vacuum force. Henry, Garrett, Henry's sister, and the agent are all pulled into Overworld. They gaze at this new world in astonishment, unable to comprehend it. At the same time, an Overworld inhabitant sees the portal open and steps through it into their world. In Netherland, the Queen learns that the orb and crystal have returned to Overworld. She confronts Steve, promising to spare his life if he retrieves them. Steve is relieved. Back in Overworld, the agent is terrified and urges everyone to return to their world. Suddenly, it becomes night, and numerous skeleton monsters appear, attacking them. To escape, they run. Henry, in a moment of clarity, thinks that if there were a wall, they could protect themselves. As soon as he thinks it, a wall appears. And he realizes that thoughts manifest in this world. He creates a room around them, saving them from the skeleton monsters. Garrett is not with them yet. Henry had left the other crystal in Garrett's hand outside the room. When Garrett attempts to retrieve the other crystal, risking his life, someone attacks him from behind with a bow and arrow, causing the earth crystal to break and flow into Garrett's hand. To save him, he runs toward the fort Henry had built. At that moment, many zombie monsters also emerge and pursue Garrett. Escaping them, he climbs the fort, and the zombies follow, endangering everyone's lives. Before the zombies can kill them, Steve arrives, skillfully dispatching them. He fights the zombie monsters, having long experience with such creatures in Overworld. He then thinks of morning, and with a snap of his fingers, the sun rises, and all the zombie monsters burn to death in the sunlight. Steve introduces himself, explaining he has lived there for years. He also realizes from the orb in his hand that the earth crystal is broken, infuriating him, because it means the portal to Earth cannot open, trapping them there for life. Everyone is distressed. Steve then tells them there's a way. A woodland mansion contains the last Earth crystal. If they want to return home, they must retrieve it, and he will help them in return. Everyone agrees. Steve explains that going to the woodland mansion is dangerous. They decide to craft weapons for survival, and Steve takes them to his store. The store is filled with things he made and items he won from fighting others. Garrett notices a strange crystal, and Steve warns him not to touch it, explaining that wherever you throw it, you'll be teleported. Garrett, listening, throws it towards Earth and immediately teleports back. He now starts to believe Steve's words. Steve then teaches them how to make things for themselves. Henry quickly grasps Steve's teachings and constructs a pressure gun that even surprises Steve. Garrett, less adept at crafting, only makes strange items. Steve asks him what he's doing. Garrett replies that he's not interested in making things. His only interest is the treasure hidden in the mines from which the Overworld portal opened. Garrett tells Steve that if he takes him to the treasure, he'll give him the orb. As they talk, Netherland monsters attack. As the Queen needs the Earth crystal and orb to defend themselves, they fight. During the skirmish, Henry's sister and the other girl get separated from them. Steve takes Henry and Garrett to a high place and gives them iron wings for flight. He points to a hill, telling them the woodland mansion and the last Earth crystal are behind it. To test the wings, Garrett first throws Henry down. The wings don't open initially, but just before Henry hits the ground, they activate, and he begins to fly. Seeing this, Garrett also jumps. Steve hesitates but is forced to jump after Garrett when he sees the Queen of Netherland's soldiers approaching. Before they reach the hills, their wings stop working, and they fall to the ground. Garrett asks Steve who the attacking soldiers were. Steve explains they are the Queen of Netherland's soldiers, who want to destroy Overworld because years ago, her own people mocked her dancing skills, igniting a furious hatred for Overworld and all talented individuals. She now seeks to destroy Overworld by killing all creative people. She's attacking them for the orb. Garrett asks why Steve also wants the orb. Steve reveals he wants it to save his dog. If the Queen doesn't get the orb, she'll kill his dog and imprison him for life. His dog, meanwhile, is shown to be sad because Steve is burning. It's night, and Henry's sister and her friend are alone. Steve's dog approaches them, and they recognize him by his collar. They also want to find their friends. Steve's dog follows them by scent. Earlier, Steve had taken Garrett to the mine where the treasure was hidden. Before they could take anything, guards, alerted to their presence, begin destroying the mine. Their lives are in danger. Steve quickly puts them in a cart and speeds it out of the mine. As soon as they emerge, the mine is completely destroyed. Henry angrily confronts Garrett, saying his greed almost cost them their lives. Garrett retorts that his life isn't easy, he's bankrupt, needs money, and all this has become a necessity. Steve understands his emotions, and tells him his own situation is similar. They finally reach the woodland mansion. Before entering, Steve gives them instructions. The first floor has axe-wielding assassins, the second floor has magicians, and the third floor holds the Earth crystal, guarded by Endermen with strange eyes. He warns them never to look into the Enderman's eyes. Henry and Garrett devise a plan. Garrett enters the mansion first, singing a song to distract the assassins, giving Henry a chance to go to the second floor. Some assassins still spot Henry ascending, but he's careful, running quickly to the third floor without being seen by anyone on the second. Garrett and Steve continue fighting to allow Henry to complete his task. Henry finds the Earth crystal, but an Enderman appears behind him. He accidentally looks into its eyes and experiences hallucinations, hearing everyone he knows call him a loser. He struggles but regains control, killing the Enderman with his axe. Upon its death, a crystal with teleportation power appears in its place. He picks it up and descends. Steve and Garrett also exit the woodland mansion. As they leave, the Queen of Netherland arrives with her soldiers. She snatches the other Earth crystal, then detonates a bomb to prevent them from reaching her. Garrett falls due to the blast, and Henry and Steve faint. When they regain consciousness, Steve's dog has found them and brought them home. But Garrett is gone. The Queen activates the Earth crystal on her portal, causing a laser from Netherland to spread darkness throughout Overworld. She now aims to conquer Overworld. Seeing all this, Steve is devastated. To set things right, he devises a war plan with his companions. They prepare weapons and enter the battlefield. With their mini-bombs and weapons, they systematically defeat the Queen's Netherland soldiers. Enraged, the Queen summons a colossal monster to fight them. After dealing with it, Steve prepares to fight the Queen. Henry realizes that removing the Earth crystal from the portal will stop the destruction. He cleverly uses a laser present with him. He places the teleporting crystal into his pressure gun and throws it near the Earth crystal, teleporting himself there. Before he can grab the crystal, a Netherland soldier throws a bomb near him, causing him to fall. Before he can die from the fall, Garrett arrives in an air balloon, saving him mid-air. It's revealed Garrett wasn't dead, but was saved by the air balloon. Henry and Garrett then approach the Netherland portal wall and break it, destroying the portal itself and ending all negativity in Overworld. Sunlight returns, turning all Netherland soldiers into zombies, and the Queen of Netherland loses all her powers. Despite losing power, she makes one last attempt to kill Steve but fails. Steve's team wins the battle. They prepare to return to Earth. Steve gives his dog to them as a gift and decides to stay in Overworld to enjoy its life. Henry's sister then asks him why he doesn't spread his magic in the real world. Hearing this, Steve changes his mind and returns to his world. Together, Steve, Henry, and Garrett open a new gaming zone and launch a new game that becomes an instant hit, solving all of Garrett's financial problems. Steve becomes Garrett's store partner, and he gives live performances at Steve's and Garrett's store. Henry also goes to school wearing his jetpack, impressing all the children. The movie ends here.